Hey yo, what is up FPG fam? Further here and welcome back to another Aether Gazer video. So today I want to do a complete and comprehensive sigil guide. Now this video is going to be a bit daunting because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to sigils. There's so much to go over and a lot of nuance with them, but I feel as if it's a necessary video to make because there are so many new players joining the game of Aether Gazer, and I don't believe the game does a great job explaining sigils in its entirety and leaves a lot of players confused. So I do hope that this video is of some value. I do hope you get something from it, and after watching, hopefully you get a better understanding of sigils and why they're so beneficial for your modifiers. Now, I'm going to try and cover everything in a very simplistic and digestible way for you, but I may miss a few things here or there, and if I do, my veteran players, go ahead and comment that down below to help out the new players. I do truly appreciate it. With that being said, let's go ahead and hop in because I think this might be a lengthy video and I don't want it to be too lengthy. So sigils, there's so much to talk about here. Sigils are an incredible source to boost your modifiers, damage output, to fill out their potential, and to give them additional effects. Now we're going to talk about the set effects first, and then we'll talk about skill effects. We're going to talk about leveling up. We're going to cover everything. So first and foremost, each modifier has 6 slots that they can place sigils, and each sigil has 3 sets. Hopefully that makes sense so far. So for example, we have on my Hades, Acheron's Obol, and we have Dark Plague. Now you can see with the Acheron's Obol, the 3 set's going to increase attack. You see all the benefits here, right? Dark Plague is 3 set, has increased shadow damage, and you see the benefits there. So you want to make sure that you're getting the 3 set of each sigil, and positioning does matter. I get that question a lot. Does positioning matter with the sigils? Yes, it's very important that the sigils are positioned in a specific order to be able to get the proper skill effects, or I should say fixed effects, because each sigil comes with a fixed effect, and if they are not in the correct position, you're not going to get the most beneficial fixed effect for your modifier, right? We'll talk about that here more when we talk about the skill effects, but let's go ahead and hop in here. We'll just go ahead to change. And the way you can find out if you have your sigil in the right slot, very good resource is the recommended sigils. So you saw how I went to change, went to recommended sigil, and if you come here, they have them positioned in a specific order for a reason, because this is the positioning where you want your sigils to be. So for Dark Plague, you want it to be 1, 3, and 5. And for Acheron's Obol, you want it to be 2, 4, and 6. Once again, to get the proper fixed effect for your modifier. So this is a great resource to use. Also, it shows you what's a good sigil set to put on your modifier. Now, what I love about Aether Gazer is that you can experiment. You can try different builds. You don't always have to go with the recommended. You could also look up guides on YouTube or look up the information to see what might be the most optimal sigil set for your modifier. But the recommended, especially for new players, is a good resource to use to start out. And then as you get more acquainted with sigils and you get a better understanding of your modifiers, you can then experiment if you feel comfortable doing that with different builds, because there are some more optimal builds than recommended sometimes for modifiers. But what I will say, to keep it simple for new players, go to the recommended. It's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. Your modifier is going to perform beautifully by putting on the recommended sigil set, at least for the time being, right? But positioning is incredibly important for the fixed effect. You want to make sure you have them in the right slot. Also on this page, you have the position, you have the set. So here you can go to the recommended and it'll go ahead and provide that for you, or you can see all the other sigils in the game, and then the skill effects, you can see the skill effects that are here. So that is positioning of sigils. That is the sigil set effects. Now let's talk about skill effects. There are many different skill effects within the game of Aether Gazer. This just gives you additional power for your modifier. Now for most DPS modifiers, you're going to want to have the big 3. I would say 98 to 99% of modifiers in the game, you want to have the big 3. Attack percent, crit rate, and crit damage. These are the most beneficials, especially for your DPS modifiers. But there are also other benefits, and this is where you can get creative with your build. After the big 3, you have shadow damage up. So this is elemental damage up that you can provide your modifiers, whether that's water, light, whatever the case may be. Normal attack, skill damage, ultimate skill damage, defense, max HP, ultimate loop back. You see there's a lot of skill effects here. You can get creative, whatever you think is going to best fit your gameplay style and best fit your modifier and your account. Go ahead and put that on, but you really want to focus on the big 3 first, and then the other ones afterwards. Now you can see that each skill effect has a level associated with it. Max level is 8. This is where mid-maxing comes into play. You may not have to worry about this, once again, new players, until a little bit later. But mid-maxing is what I consider the end game. This and warps, but we'll talk about warps maybe in a separate video. Mid-maxing is the end game when it comes to your skill effects for Aether Gazer. As you can see, I have crit rate at level 8. Now, what I would want to focus on and try mid-max is getting attack to level 8 and crit damage to level 8. This is going to take a lot of resources, a lot of coin, and a lot of time. But what you could do initially is get your skill effects in place and then come back at a later time and try mid-max. That's what I usually do. But once again, be prepared to spend a lot of resources and a lot of time doing that. So with that being said, those are the skill effects. Let's go ahead and hop into one of the sigils here, and I can show you a bit about limit breaking, enchants, and reconstruct. That's going to be a lot to talk about. So let's talk about limit breaking first. In the beginning, when you start to put sigils on your modifier and you start to level them up, you can initially raise them to level 40. And for new players, that's probably where you're going to be at for a little bit. Now, recently, we've been able to limit break them past 40 to level 50 and then to level 60. And that is using this material right here. But once again, for new players, level 40 is the way you're going to be able to level them up. And then you can worry about limit breaking them later down the road to make your modifier as strong as possible. Now let's go ahead and take a modifier that I don't have leveled up sigils on. For example, I'm going to use Heimdall here. So we go to Heimdall here. As you can see, I don't have any sigils on her. I'm going to go ahead and go to set. I'm going to go to recommended. And as you can see, here are the recommended sets. I'm going to go to 4. And I'm just going to go ahead and change and put this on her right here. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. I'm going to go ahead and cultivate. And as you can see, this is the material right here that you're going to use to level up your sigils. So I'm going to go ahead and quick select. I'm going to level it up to 10. So we got 10. Now this material right here, the spirit extract, is what you're going to use to level it up to 20, or I should say limit break it to 20. So I'm going to go ahead and limit break. There we go. And then now I can level it up to 20, right? So I quick select again, level to 20, and now you see there's another spirit capture right here to go ahead and level it up to 30. Now there's green, blue, and then there's going to be a purple one. I guess I'll go all the way. I'll waste materials for the video. I hope you guys really like this video. You better hit the like button. So for this one, it can only go to level 30 because it is a 4-star. It's not a 5-star, so it can only go to level 30, but you get the gist, right? You use those materials to level it up, and then you use those materials to limit break. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, for those materials, you can actually collect those in many different places. You can collect them in the shop. Sometimes they have them available, or you can go, and this is probably what you're going to be doing for the most part, is going to your supply, and you see you can get the spirit extract right here, and here's the purple one that I was talking about. So you can go here. You want to make sure you unlock level 5, and then you can run this 4 times and get a lot of these spirit extracts. So that is where you can get those to limit break your sigils. And then for the sigil level up materials, you go to the sigil tab here, and you go to the revelation here. Once again, make sure you unlock level 5, and this is where you can get the revelation material to be able to level up your sigils. Now, usually the game hands out a lot of these, so you won't really be visiting this too often. But if you need some in a pinch, you're leveling up a lot of modifiers, then go ahead and come to this right here. Or once again, they will be in the shop, or a lot of times if there's an event going on, you can go to the shop here, and a lot of times they'll have these materials in the shop here. You just go ahead and do the event, get the materials, and then you can purchase them here. Really good resources, right? So now here in the enchant, when you have the 5-star sigil, which are the ones that you're going to want to place on your modifiers, you can see for the 5-star ones, it has the fixed effects, and it has 2 of them, and it has Fierce Assault and Gladiator. These are ones that innately come with the sigil when you first obtain it. There's nothing, you can't re-roll these. These are innately with the sigil, right? So you have those. When you level them up, it unlocks. Now you have 2 additional slots right here. And when you click into it, this is where you get the additional effects. Now, once again, this is the RNG part of min-maxing your modifiers. This is where I say you're going to waste a lot of resources and you're going to waste a lot of coins here. But this is how you get the additional crit rate, the additional crit damage, the additional attack. You want to know how people have 51% crit rate, 84% crit damage, and things of that nature? Is because they enchanted their sigils and they min-maxed it right here. So as you can see, I have attack right here, which is beautiful. Now down here, I would want to get like crit rate or crit damage. It's very difficult to get. It's not easy, but this is how you min-max, right? And it's all RNG based by re-rolling using this material right here, which is your modules, your enchants. So you use the material down here to then enchant, and it does cost coin, 500 coins. So that's why I say you're gonna waste a lot of coin. You're gonna waste a lot of this material to re-roll your skill effects, right? Now let's say, for example, you have a skill effect that you like. For example, I like the attack, I want to keep that. You can actually lock the top one and you can just roll the bottom one. So I'm gonna go ahead and lock the top one. As you can see, I locked the top one. Now when I roll, I'm only gonna roll the bottom, but as you can see, it locks the blue and the purple. You can't use those, you can only use the gold, and instead of 1, now it takes 5, right? So you have to keep that in mind. That's why it's gonna be a lot of materials once again. So now if I roll, it's only going to roll the bottom. I'm wasting resources here, by the way. It's only going to roll the bottom, and I keep the attack locked because I like the attack, right? And I'm going to see if I can get something like crit rate or crit damage at the bottom. I wasted all of my for you guys. But let's say, for example, I like this one. I'm going to go ahead and select that. As you can see, it changed. It's locked at the top, and now I have a new one here, right? And you're going to do that for the next one. Are you going to do that for the next one? Are you going to do that for the next one? But this is the end game. This is where you're going to spend a lot of time trying to min-max your modifiers. But if you get crit rate, crit damage on the top one, once again, you can leave those and then come back to this at a later time, right? But that is enchanting in a nutshell. If you have any additional questions about enchanting, let me know in the comments down below. But that is enchanting. This is how you min-max your modifiers and get the most benefits. Now let's go ahead and talk about Reconstruct. So Reconstruct is where you are able to place the specific gen zone onto your modifier, and you're going to get a sigil stat increase of 20% when you equip the correct gen zone onto the sigil. So as you can see, if we back out here, I have all my sigils reconstructed, and they all are to the Olympus gen zone, and the reason being is because Hades is an Olympus modifier. So if we go back to sigils, if we go back to here, we cultivate, and we go to reconstruct, you can see now with the Olympus gen zone, the sigil stats are increased. So this is very important. You want to make sure that you reconstruct with the reconstructors. Now the reconstructors you can get once again in many different places. You can get it within the shop. If we come over here and we go to the resource shop, you can get it right here with this material. Now that material you get from hazard zone cleaning, so it's important that you go to your hazard zone cleaning, which is right here, and you complete this every single time that it's available, because you get a lot of great rewards, not only for reconstructors but also for the material to purchase more reconstructors, but also for warps. Once again, we'll talk about warps in a separate video. So hazard zone cleaning, a very important event to take on, or challenge to take on, to get those materials. Now once you have enough reconstructors, you can then go ahead and cultivate, and you can reconstruct to get the correct gen zone. Now if you want to take it a step further, and this is important for limit breaking, so if you want to get your level cap raised to 50 and then to 60, the only way you can do that, as you can see, I cannot limit break. And the reason being is because once you get to level 40 and you want to get to level 50, you have the Olympus gen zone. Now you have to clarify reconstruct. I know this is pretty convoluted, but hopefully this is making sense. Now you're going to clarify reconstruct, and what that does is that then specifies that specific sigil to that specific modifier. So if I reconstruct here and I place this, I'm wasting a lot of materials in this video. I did not plan to do this. I plan on saving this all for flame tier, but it's for the video. Now as you can see, it's no longer the gen zone symbol, it is now Hades, because now this sigil is tied to Hades specifically. What does that allow me to do? Well, now that allows me to limit break. So now I can limit break past level 40, and I can go to level 50, and then I go ahead and level up. I'm level 50, and now I can go to level 60 with the new spirit extract, right, to level 60. Now this one is maxed out to its highest capabilities. And now the sigil stat, when you reconstruct it and clarify it to that specific modifier, instead of it being 20%, now it's 40%. That's why level 60 sigils give you such a power increase and power spike, because of, you know, limit breaking to 60 and you get those stat increases, but also now you get the one for 40%. So it's pretty incredible to get it to 60, but it takes a lot of material, as you can see. So that is limit breaking, that is enhancing, and that is enchanting your sigils. Once again, hopefully all of that makes sense. Now the other thing is forging. So forging is something that just came recently, where you can go ahead and select a specific sigil and you can change. Let's say, for example, the Acheron's Opal is no longer the most beneficial for Hades. Now the most beneficial is, I don't know, let's say this one, for example, for whatever reason. You can go ahead and confirm, and you see you use these two materials. This one right here, the Star Anchor, which once again you can check the sources, you can get it from Reoccurring Dream or the co-op shop, and it also requires this material. Once again, that's why it has its own cleaning. Doing that is very important to be able to get this material as well, because you need it for a lot of things. Now you can change this sigil into this sigil and keep all the same benefits. You don't have to level it up again. It's level 60, it's clarified, everything is the same. Right, so let me see if I can do an example here for you. I've been trying to do this with my Osiris right here. So I've been trying to go from Moondrifter to Decree of Waves. So if I go here, no, I can't. But as an example, I went ahead and did that. It stayed level 40. I don't have the Reconstructors to do it, that's why. Do I? Maybe I do. I should have done it with her. Let me go ahead and check. Oh, I'm wasting a lot of materials. Okay, so as an example for the video, let's go ahead and reconstruct. There we go. Osiris. I was gonna do this anyways. Let's go ahead and limit break. A lot of materials being wasted. Oh boy. Level 60. I can't even get it all the way. That's okay. All right, so we got it there. Now I'm gonna go to Forge. Go here. Now I want to forge it to Decree of Waves. Where is it? Right here. Gotta go ahead and do that. And now I'm going to use these materials right here to go ahead and switch it to this one. So I'm going to go ahead and forge, confirm, and then as you can see, it is now the Decree of Waves, right? But it keeps the same levels, it keeps everything, it just changes it. The forge is a very useful tool when you want to switch your sets. You don't want to have to farm up a brand new one. You could if you wanted to. You can farm up brand new ones and then be able to do that, or you can forge. It's completely up to you. Whichever you think is going to be the most beneficial or what you have resources for. So that is the forging. So we went over set effects, we went over skill effects, we went over forging, enchanting, limit breaking, reconstructing. The other thing that you can do is dismantle. So if we go over here and we go to sigils, let's just go to all, and this is within your warehouse, so your inventory. So apparently I don't have any sigils that I can dismantle at the moment because I used them all on that Osiris leveling up. But you can batch dismantle, and you could dismantle the sigils to go ahead and get material, but you would only want to dismantle a sigil that you cannot use, and you would want to dismantle to go ahead and get this material. If you go to Trading Zone and you go back to the sigil shop, if you go to 5-star sigils, to get this material right here, the Sigil Core. The Sigil Core is going to, as you can see, allow you to reforge to a new sigil, or it will allow you to go ahead and purchase the specific sigil that you're needing. So let's say, for example, you farmed the sigil, but you need a specific one. Let's say you need Eternal Chariot 6. You can use your Sigil Core to actually purchase this one. So this is another way where you don't have to waste stamina all the time. You can actually get the core and use it here, which I think is very, very nice. It makes it a lot easier to get sigils and place it on your modifiers. But talking about gaining sigils, if we go to battle right here, and if we go here, if you go to sigils, the battle sweep, this is where you're going to be able to farm your sigils for your modifiers. So let's say I still need the Eternal Chariot. You can select the sigils that you need. So Eternal Chariot selected for me. You can select whatever you need for your sigils for that specific modifier. So let's say the Decree of Wave is what I'm still needing for my Osiris. I can select that one. You want to farm level 5 because it gives you the greatest chance of getting a 5-star sigil, right? If we go to level 4, it gives you the chance to get it, but not as high of a chance. Level 5 is going to give you the greatest chance, guaranteed within 5 scans, guaranteed within 2 scans. You see? So this one is going to be the best max runs. It also is going to give you level up materials, and it's going to give you 3 stars and 4 star sigils as well. So you can run these, and this is how you farm your sigils. The way you can farm your enchants is through the joint training right here. And as you can see, you have different grades that you can go ahead and farm. And you can refresh this to try and get an S grade. See, double A's and a B. I can refresh it one more time. No S, so I'd probably run the A, right? And this is where you can get your sigil modules to go ahead and enchant your sigils. So this is the resources for your sigils themselves, the enchant level up materials, the level up materials in general, and then your spirit capture. This is where you're going to go ahead and get that material to limit break to 50 and 60. The other one to go ahead and level them up is over here, remember, in the supplies to level them up to 40. Okay, so those are how you farm your sigils. That's how you get your sigils. That's how you level up your sigils and get the enchants for them. You could also get those through the event as well. I think I claimed them all, but if there's an event going on, a lot of times they have those T3 modules in here. You can go ahead and grab them from here as well. But I think that is everything when it comes to sigils that I can think of. I believe the last thing that I would need to talk about is the Hazard Zone Cleaning Shop. This is where you can get very specific modules. Oh, and another thing I need to talk about is when you Omega modifiers. So the Hazard Zone Cleaning Shop is where you can get specific sigils, and usually these sigils are very beneficial for modifiers that you're Omegaing, because you can place these in specific areas when you are able to place 3 different sigils instead of 2 different sigils. So for example, the Nimble right here increases ultimate skill charge speed by 30% and ultimate skill damage by 30%. You can't farm these. You have to go ahead and actively purchase these specific ones in this shop right here. Once again, that's why Hazard Zone Cleaning is so important to do. But they have these sigils right here as well for you to go ahead and grab. Now, for the Omega, I'll leave it off on this for Omega modifiers. For example, I have Bastet here. Now, I haven't done it for her. I need to go ahead and do it. Resources. But when you Omega a modifier, you can then go ahead and place 3 different sigils instead of 2 sets. You can have 3 sets of sigils, because when you Omega a modifier, to get the full set benefits, you only need 2 of the sigils. Hopefully that makes sense. So for the Decree of Waves, to get the full benefits, once you Omega a modifier, you don't have to have the full 3 sets. You can get 2, and then you can go ahead and move on to a different one. And then for the Shadow one, you can only need 2. So for example, Shadow I would put on 1 and 3. Decree of Waves I put on 2 and 4. And then that leaves me 5 and 6 to put on another set. That's why Omegaing a modifier is so strong, because not only do you get additional stats and benefits, but then you can get additional sigil sets to get additional effects. So for example, I can get the Nibble right here, increase ultimate damage and things of that nature. So Omega modifiers are Omega for a reason, and that's what allows you to do that. But unfortunately, I don't have any Omega modifiers that I've actually done that with just yet. Unfortunately, I need to do that. Once again, resources. But I think that covers everything when it comes to sigils. Once again, if I missed anything, let me know in the comments down below. But hopefully this video was helpful. Once again, if it was convoluted and all over the place, I do apologize. I was trying to be as comprehensive as possible and explain in the best way possible. But yeah, this was pretty lengthy. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. If you have any additional questions, just let me know in the comments down below. I'll try and answer that to the best of my abilities. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Remember to stand out, be different, have fun, go further beyond in everything that you do. My name is Cody. You call me further. I'll see you all next one. Bye, guys.